Roll call, please, Danielle.
President Yu,
Here.
Vice President Mr. Beach,
Present.
Clerk Dr. Eugenio,
Here.
Board Member Dr. Apodaca,
Here.
Board Member Mr. Nishii,
Present.
Board Member Mrs. Say,
Present.
Board Member Dr. Rios.
Present.
Thank you.
This evening, we will be discussing the following items in closed session. Conference with labor negotiator, update on negotiations with ABCFT, FSME, and CSEA. Conference with real property negotiator, WB 91 freeway extension, student discipline, deliberation on one student expulsion matter pursuant to Education Code Section 48918-1. Any public comments?
There are no public comments, Madam President.
Okay, may I have a motion to move to closed session?
So moved by Sophia.
Eugenio, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. If I had money enough to spend and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town who sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips alone she'll holds my heart enthralled. Then fill to me the parting glass. Good night and God be with you all. Oh, all the comrades that e'er I've had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls into my lot that I should rise and you should not, oh, gently rise and softly call. Good night and God a while. There is a fair maid in this town who sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips alone she holds my heart enthralled. Then fill to me the parting glass. Good night and God be with you all. Oh, all the comrades that e'er I've had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and God be with you all. So
session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Please silence your cell phones. Good evening. It's good to see a lot of teachers here. So excited and so pumped up. We welcome public comments, and anybody wishing to make a public comment must fill out a card on the table to my left. All public comments are to be made during the public comment section or at the time an item is presented, and must be done before the item is discussed. Each comment must be no more than 5 minutes. Tonight in closed session, the board discussed conference with labor negotiator, update on negotiations with ABCFT, ABCME, and CSEA, conference with real property negotiator, 91 freeway extension. Also, may I have a motion and a second based upon the board's review in closed session? The board accepts the recommendation for expulsion in student expulsion case number 2223-2 and orders the student expelled based on violation of Education Codes 48900A1, caused, attempted to cause, or threatened to cause physical injury to another person, and 48900A2, willfully used force or violence upon the person of another except in self-defense. The board adopts the recommended rehabilitation plan, and the board sets its regular board meeting of June 2023 as the date on which the board will review the student for readmission. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Eugenio.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd like to call the students from the ABC Virtual Academy to lead us in the pledge.
Madam President, before we begin, their parents, if they'd like to record, they can record from up here if they'd like to get a good angle of
Sure.
the pledge.
Thank you, Dr. Apodaca. Parents, you can come to the front to record. Okay, go ahead.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Hello, my name is Ahyana Giwala, and I am a 6th grader from ABC Virtual Academy. This is my first year attending ABC Virtual Academy, and I have never been happier. Choosing to leave in-person learning to do online learning permanently was a big decision for me, but also one that was very important to me personally. And after attending ABC Virtual Academy, I quickly realized that we're not missing out on anything at all. This is because our school offers so many wonderful opportunities for us to still feel like we are part of a classroom and school community with a variety of school-wide activities and events. Some are in-person and others are virtual, and everything is optional for everyone's preference and convenience. Some of these events have already happened, such as Dot Day, and today, which was our first afternoon recess in person. Now I'm going to tell you about some fun-filled events that we have coming up. First, Dot Day. Dot Day celebrates making our mark in the world and showing everyone who we are. We celebrated this by decorating a paper plate with beautiful dot designs and then giving them to Juarez Elementary School to decorate their hallways. Then afternoon recess. Afternoon recess is the perfect opportunity to make friends and socialize with others, and of course, interact with our classmates in person, face to face. After school, you can drive to Juarez Elementary to play on the playground, join in on some organized games, and make new friends. After that, Knott's Berry Farm. At the end of the year for 6th graders, we are going to have a field trip to Knott's Berry Farm to celebrate our last year of elementary school and also our transition to middle school. It's sure to be a fun field trip. Next, Halloween Costume Day. Halloween Costume Day is a fun way to celebrate Halloween or just have fun wearing a costume in school. Students get to wear a fun, appropriate costume in school for the entire day. You will be able to see everyone's creative and unique costumes, and I wonder whether my teacher will turn into a mummy or Frankenstein. And finally, Family Picnic. The Family Picnic is a fun get-together for families to eat delicious picnic foods and hang out. Children can run around and play while the grown-ups chat. It will be held in May, and it will be a wonderful springtime event for sure. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Jacob Ibarra. I am a 6th grade student in the ABC Virtual Academy, and it is my honor to explain why I chose online learning. I chose online learning because I find it more simpler and better to keep track of papers and assignments without losing them. Another benefit is that I could get more work or more help with classwork and more one-on-one time with the teacher. Smaller class sizes make this possible. When kids get sick and have to miss class, they can miss out on important lessons, like how the early humans survived. In the ABC Virtual Academy, we have planned many fun, exciting activities. For example, on Thursday, which is also my birthday, we have picture day. This allows all my students to still enjoy many of the activities that in-person school allows. Science is one of my favorite subjects, and I am personally looking forward to our upcoming event, Family Science Night. Another great event the ABC Virtual Academy has planned is Trunk or Treat. Trunk or Treat is where students dress in their costumes and do a little bit of trick-or-treating. School board members, we invite you to join us for this fun and exciting evening. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any board comments? Can we introduce the teachers and the principals of this program?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brian Glonchak. I am the principal of the ABC Virtual Academy this year. And I have with me my colleague, our assistant principal, Mr. Oliver Wang.
Oh.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
We have two questions. First, we have board member Ernie Nishi.
So really quick, how many are in the online academy?
Right now, our enrollment is about 75 or 76 students as of
Great.
today.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, we have Sophia Say.
Actually, I had the great opportunity. Spoke to Oliver before about this online program and asked about his vision, and it was really great. And I want to ask the children's one questions. How about your exercise?
What?
Your exercise. How are you going to get your exercise done?
I usually like to take a walk around the neighborhood after school.
Walk in the neighborhood with your parents?
Yes.
Right? Okay, good. Now, what about you? What about music?
I just play this exercising game, and it's called Just Dance. Yeah,
Just dance?
Cause I like to dance.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. That's what I'm
Thank you.
asking.
So, Mr. Glonchak, so this gives families opportunities who have concerns, of diverse concerns, an opportunity to take the students out of school and be on virtual.
Yes, for sure. We are very pleased that we're able to offer just a different environment for certain families. And there are a variety of reasons that families have chosen to be with us. Some may be health concerns, some are other types of concerns as well. Some it just is what works best for their student that they've seen over the past few years. So for any of those reasons, we feel like we're a great choice. And some of the things that we've been very proud of learning recently is that even with our online independent study elementary last year, the students that were in that program, which is about 70% of the students currently in our school, they performed actually slightly above the district average on the CASP last year. So the online learning, those students who came from throughout the district performed admirably last year, and we expect that that's only going to increase and grow this year as well.
Fantastic.
And we want to thank you, the board and the cabinet and everyone for your commitment to our school and getting us launched this year.
Fantastic. Do you have plans for like extracurricular programs such as a band, orchestra, sports team?
Yes, so we're working on that right now. Is the things we have in the works are setting up some family art nights, which then may roll into some after-school art enrichment programs. Also, we're working on just exactly the logistics of how the band would work, considering the students' different levels of band and who is able to come in person to participate in a band program versus music being done virtually. So a few logistical things we're still working out, but we have plans to do all of those and continue to have some clubs and student leadership as we grow into it. And actually, on Thursday this week, we're having our first PTA meeting as we organize a unit PTA with the help of the 33rd District. So to connect our parents, give them a community and a voice as well to support our students in our school.
Fantastic. ABC having our reputation, do you find that we are getting some students from out of district as well for our virtual academy?
We have, yes, and that's been a big part of our outreach. We plan to reach beyond as we go forward. This year, I believe we have, it's about 8 to 10% of our students came newly from out of district to us, and some others who have moved around and been in different academic environments the past few years.
Fantastic. So we have some marketing going too, because I get some marketing brochures from Buena Park and different districts trying to recruit students.
Sure. And then, yeah, we know that we have those in our local communities. I've heard those from our neighbors in Norwalk and Long Beach and Bellflower and the cities around us. That we are reaching out to try to bring in new students to ABC.
Great. We got to compete with them too.
Of course.
Thank you so much. We have one more. We have Dr. Apodaca.
Thank you, Madam President. So quick question, well, two quick questions for you. One, for the public to know that even though this might have been a novel idea in the pandemic, post-pandemic it seems fairly novel. All of these credits are fully accredited, correct, right? And second, is the curriculum any less rigorous, or is the education any less, of less quality because it's online? I know that that's a question we get a lot. I know the answer, but I want to make sure that, as the one in charge of this school, because the name is School 31, right? What's the?
I think we're actually school number 50.
Is that what it was?
But yeah.
Okay, ABC Virtual Academy. So, can you speak to the quality and the rigor of the curriculum? This isn't just. It's not something to enter into lightly. It includes parent involvement as well as the curriculum itself. Could you speak to that, please?
Sure, absolutely. So, yes, we are, at the same level of standard that all of our ABC schools are. So we have a full staff of credentialed and fully credentialed teachers who are ABC teachers with us. The majority of them have many years of experience teaching both in person for years in our schools, and then have shifted to online and decided to remain online because they felt like that was an environment that was working for them and allowed them to use their talents and meet our students and families' needs. They are working to meet the same standards as any of our other schools. We'll take the CASP at the end of the year and measure ourselves against that state measuring stick like anyone else. And we're excited to see how we do. As I mentioned earlier, the students who were online last year performed admirably well in a very challenging year. And we're expecting this year, with the additional resources, additional synchronous time, and hopefully fewer challenges in terms of a pandemic, that we can outperform that this year as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Good evening.
Golensag. Thank you. Okay. Now we have presentations, Spotlight on Teaching and Learning. Mrs. Castro.
Good evening, President CU, Vice President Brad Beach, distinguished board members, and our interim superintendent, Mr. Nguyen. I am excited to present with you information, our latest information from our California assessments. Tonight, we're going to provide our ABC Board of Education and our ABC community with an overview of various sources of data that reflect student performance in English language arts from spring of 2022. These data sources include our state California assessments, as well as data from our English learner student progress, and as well as our reclassification data. As we are waiting for our presentation to come up on the screen, I want to make sure I acknowledge the hardworking team from Academic Services that is part of making this happen, that support our school sites, that are teachers and our administrators from our district that are working hard to continue to develop programs. First, of course, I want to acknowledge our directors, our Director of Elementary Curriculum, Dr. Beth Bray, and our Director of Secondary Curriculum, Dr. Krishina Wise. as well as acknowledge their hardworking teams, who include, from the elementary team, Natalie Navarro, Michelle Joyce, Amber Prieto, Trina King, Maria Perez Brenna. And from the secondary team, it includes Audrey Rios, Dana Coleman, Nereda Armenta, Sasha Leonardo, Triana Marbury, and Lena Bradshaw. As well as you may recall, we talked about the new EL counseling team that we started last year, who were hired on approximately February of 2022, and those include Natalie Ornelas, Jose Carlos Zaragoza, Isamar Perez, Stephanie Gomez Cortez, Monica Gonzalez Moreno, and Lizette Lozano. So if they could please stand so we can give them a round of applause, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. So as you know, in ABC, we have decided to focus on our three main areas of social, emotional, academic, and safety, and making sure that we approach the whole child and not just look at one aspect. Today, we are looking at the academic supports, in particular when it comes to literacy and English language arts. Because we use a collaborative and cohesive system, I want to acknowledge the fact that when I do this presentation, we are going to have portions that are elementary, so Dr. Beth Bray will speak about that, and portions that will be Dr. Weiss speaking on the secondary, but that we do plan and work together in order to be a more cohesive process. Throughout the month of September, teachers and school staff and site principals have been working on a process of data review in order to support ongoing improvements for students. As we know that there's been many challenges in the last 2 years, there are some specific questions that we're looking at so that we can focus this data review and provide really holistic support to our students. So those questions are listed here. First of all, we want to consider what was the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on student learning. That is something obviously that's on the forefront of our minds as we consider what next steps do we need to take to really support our students. Number two, we want to look at what are the best differentiated ways to support our students. Every student, every school community has different needs, and so we definitely look at those differences to support them. And number three, what are the current structures for support, and what do we need to improve? So we know that we were doing some good things before the pandemic, but we also had a lot of learning experiences, and so we want to move forward and look at what are we going to do next. So here's our first set of data scores. This is from our summative assessments from spring of 2022. Please note that these percentages represent the number of students who have met or exceeded grade level standards. So you can see overall in ABC, 64.5% of our students have met or exceeded standards for English language arts. Of that overall, we see our low-income students at 52.7%, our English learner group at 21.3%, foster youth at 24%, and homeless at 26%. Now, when we think about that first question about what was the impact of the pandemic, we looked at our scores of 2019, spring of 2019, before the interruption of the COVID pandemic, to spring of 2022. Now, I do want to kind of caution us. We do want to look at that, but remember, it's different groups of students, different situation, and even the test was a little different. As we know, this summative spring assessment was, even though it was the same standards, it was a little shorter, more condensed version of the assessment. However, we can see here that there was some effects of the pandemic, as prior in 2019. Overall, we were at 66%, and then we had a slight drop to 64.5% for the 2022 scores. However, you can see for our low-income students, there was a slight increase. So we see 52% in 2019, but a slight increase to 52.7% for spring. And then you can see the changes that overall we did have some dips, with our greatest concern focusing on our English learner students who were at 30% met or exceeded standards, and then dropped down to 21.3% with our spring of 2022 scores. When we think about these scores, we then think about, so who are our EL students and what do we need to do to help them, right? Because we see that there's the biggest gap is occurring with that group of students. And so we looked at our total population. This is our total population of 5,739 students, as the state terms them, the EVER ELs. And you can see the distribution of students within that. So 16% approximately have been in our program 0 to 3 years. About 9.3% have been in the program 4 to 5. And then you see we have a good percentage, 21.6, has been designated as an English learner student for 6 or more years. And so that leads us to think we need to do more efforts at the elementary level to really work on literacy and helping students reclassify and support those structures not only within the classroom, but also within the support and the program components as well. But you can also see we've had quite a huge success with reclassifying student. That's what that yellow block at the end is 52.8% of our students have been reclassified. So we are definitely making some movement in the right direction. Next, you see here our English learner performance assessment data. So our English learner students, not only do they have to take the summative assessments that everybody else has to take, but they also have to take their own LPAC assessments and their own performance assessment data. So this shows you where they've landed when they take their English learner performance assessments. Level 1 is indicated as newcomers, so just developing language. Level 2 would be students who have some ability to speak mostly and have some more difficulty with reading and writing. Level 3 is what we consider now the expanding level of language abilities, where they are able to read and write, they interact well, they probably you would not recognize them any differently from any other student, but they still have some nuanced issues with writing and reading comprehension. And then level 4, which is our bridging students, which are higher level, more advanced language skills abilities, but still require a lighter emphasis of support through reading comprehension. You can see from this chart, excuse me, the majority of our students fall under level 3 and level 4. So our EL students are able to our higher level of reading and writing. And that was true in 2018-19 as it is now. So we haven't had a huge shift in population from then. And last but not least, we also want to look at trends, right? So we don't want to just compare, but we want to look at trends over time. So this is the trend of reclassification data of our English learner students from 2018 all the way up to present day. You can see that the metrics have kind of gone up and down over the years. There's definitely was a dip during the pandemic years, and that was specifically because we didn't have a summative assessment to use to reclassify. We had to use local assessments. There was some confusion on what would classify students. We know that EL students, our English learner students, struggled with the pandemic with online learning. And so all those components kind of together would explain why there was a dip from 17% the year prior to 9%. I'm happy to report that we've gone back up in the last year, and you can see we're back up at 15.5%. And with the support of our teachers, our administrators, and our counseling team that are working on reclassification, we hope to continue on that upward trend for this coming school year as well. So I provide you with all that different pieces of information to basically tell you that this is why we've landed on our literacy initiatives. So in ABC, our big reading initiative is to ensure that our students are reading by 3rd grade, and that for grades 4 through 12, we're supporting students with literacy for college and career so that today's readers could be tomorrow's leaders. And how are we going to do that? Well, in the state of California, we have a very specific system or structure, and it's really used, it's not just used in the state, but it's used across the nation, and that is a research-based framework called the multi-tiered system of support, where you can see here represented by the triangle and the different levels. So at Tier 1, that's at the core curriculum level. That's what is available to all students. This is for 100% of our students in ABC. What are the different ways that we support them with literacy initiatives? For Tier 2, which is about 5 to 15% of students, this is now when we start to see students that are struggling. There might have been an SST process involved, parent conferences. And so what is some small group support that we can provide? Is it a special reading program, after school program, etc.? And then finally, we have level 3, where we have even more intense support for individual student needs, and that's about 1 to 5% of our population. So we use this framework in explaining the different types of support. We can't just say it's all of these different things are available. It's certain things available at the level that students need them. And so each student goes through those levels until we are able to support them and ensure that they can meet their reading objectives. At this time, I'd like to call up Dr. Beth Bray to the microphone, who's going to provide you an overview of the elementary reading initiatives for reading by third grade and provide you the framework understanding for that.
Good evening, everyone. So glad to be here to talk to you about the reading. So as we returned from being online and from being in hybrid last year, when we finally were able to get back, we did notice gaps. We noticed that some kids held on pretty well and some students had some gaps in their reading levels. And so we started a committee last year, actually, to look at this. That included principals from many of the schools, as well as intervention specialists that we hired for each of the elementary schools last year, and of course my elementary team. And we supported and worked together to start laying the groundwork for our Reading by Third Grade initiative. So I want to talk about this as in the 5 pillars of early literacy so that we can kind of get an idea of what we're trying to do to support early literacy and make sure that kids are ready to read. So we have these 5 pillars. We want to strengthen them and build a really strong foundation. These 5 pillars of phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension are going to hold that roof up for our literacy for college and career later on for the students. So they need all of these components of reading in order to have enough strength to get through some of that academic rigor later on in the grades. So I will move on to the next slide. And now we're going to go back and look at those tiers for the multi-tiered system support that Ms. Castro explained earlier. And so this is tier 1 for elementary students. This means that every single elementary student is able to access these. And it comes in kind of different waves, right? We want to make sure that the instruction is strong. We use teacher-directed instruction, whole group instruction. We also, at this level, use differentiated instruction and small group instruction. That helps students that are just on the edge of being able to access all of their core curriculum to be able to do that without being pulled out of the classroom. So it's really important in a multi-tiered system of support that this lower level that's holding everything is really strong. And so we've been working on that last year and this year especially. And we measure that with a universal assessment. And I've been in ABC for a really long time, 27 years. We've never had a universal assessment prior that went from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And we have that in place now. So we are able to look at children's growth all the way across as they go through the grade levels. And I really feel that is going to be a benefit for our students. We have a very strong curriculum program based with the Wonders curriculum, and also with leveled readers. So students that are not quite able to access all of the books will have an opportunity to use the leveled readers. We also still have the MyOn library that we put into place during the COVID when we were out. A lot of students really find that helpful, and parents, because the books are available all the time, and whether they're at home or at school. And so that is still in place for students to practice. And then we did purchase a computer adaptive practice program for all students, TK through 6th grade, to use for additional practice. And one of the things that I am really, really happy to report is that all of our elementary teachers have gone through training of the science of reading. And that really explores how does the brain learn to read. So when teachers can understand how does the brain learn to read, then they can access those 5 pillars, and they can put things into place to help students learn all of the things that are necessary. And of course, we can't do this without data. So we put together a data analysis team consisting of principals, intervention specialists, some of my team as well, and we are going through a deep dive of data this year, and we're excited about that. It's just about to kick off on our first meeting. So what I'd like to say about this next tier is that this is an addition. So when we say all kids get that core, all students have that. If a child is in need of something else, they get this in addition to the core curriculum. This isn't supplementing the core or supplanting the core curriculum. So this is for some students who need more targeted intervention. And you can see that here is where our reading intervention specialists really come into play. There's one at every elementary school. We've also have early literacy coaches at 3 of the schools that are working on a special project. And we have added intervention tutors for all the Title I schools to help in the intervention program. And again, we're progress monitoring. This is the assessment, but more frequent, so that we can see incremental growth for the students. And then we bought some specialized programs, Wonder Works, which goes along with Wonders, Sunday, which is an explicit phonics program that helps with those phonemic awareness and phonics pillars. If kids somehow didn't learn all of that when they were young, we can go back and fill those gaps for them. And then the computer adaptive intervention practice. So now we're talking that it'll drop down a level for them, kids to practice where they are and then build up their skills. So, and again, professional learning, now we're talking about a little bit more targeted professional learning for teachers as well as they learn some of these new programs. And finally, the intensive support. So you'll see a lot of these things on the intensive are similar or the same. So what is different about this? Well, we are really going at the child's individual needs here. So this might be an individual or very small group. It would have more frequency, longer duration, and more monitoring to make sure that if these students are needing additional support, that we are able to give that to them. Again, this is in addition to the core. And we are doing a lot of specialized professional learning with our staff here to make sure that we can identify the best intervention for our students. Okay. So you saw the data on the EL, and that is a concern for all of us. We are not going to hide from that. We're not going to sugarcoat that. That is our reality, and we want to do something to help. So good reading instruction in the 5 pillars is absolutely necessary for multilingual learners, but they need some more help as well. So in addition to that, we've added some specific supports for English learners. And you can see them here. Some of them are ongoing. Those are the ones that are not highlighted. We've been working on them for a little while, but this really putting some effort into it last year and this year, strengthening the designated and integrated ELD, and looking at the data in the elevation system. We have a specialized system to look at EL data. But what we've added is literacy tutors, as I mentioned before, that will help out in the intervention system so we can have real small groups, real individual support for kids as needed. We've been working on the roadmap, the English Learner Roadmap, for a couple of years, and we're going to continue that. And we have some plans, specific plans, but we're also adding the improvement science for reading, training for the administrators. So that really helps to look at data and get to the root cause of what might be the issue of a problem of practice. And then we are going to continue to support our teachers with release time to help them continue to build on their skills. We do that practice. I mean, we do the professional learning in the beginning of the summer, and then we try to get them picked up after school or maybe a little session once in a while where they're subbed out. But this gives them 2 days to actually look at all those learnings that they have from the science of reading, from the foundational skills, and actually then put that into a plan. So we feel like that's going to be very beneficial for them, something that teachers really requested. And elementary EL counselors, we're so excited. We have secondary counselors we hired last year, and they're here with us. But we are going to hire 11 EL counselors for the elementary schools to be able to look carefully at the data, have a communication with parents to make sure that everyone understands how the system works, how do you get reclassified, what are the tests look like, what kind of supports can we do? So we're really excited about this. We think this is going to be a huge missing piece. And also parent liaisons for the Title I elementary schools, full-time parent liaisons that will help them with a communication with parents of English learner students. And finally, how are we going to measure it? So we are keenly aware that we're spending a lot of dollars to do some really good work, but we want to be able to measure that. And so here is our plan. Again, I said the universal screening. We're going to be progress monitoring using the curriculum-based assessments and some of the assessments that are directly in some of those specialized programs that help us really see what the kids are learning and where they're struggling. And again, the data team and the intervention specialists are doing teacher data talks with all of the teachers at the elementary school. So those pieces will really help us to monitor, make sure that we are getting, that the kids are really able to learn. So we're excited to see where this leads us this year. And now I'm going to introduce Dr. Christina Wise, and she's going to talk to you about the secondary plan.
Good evening. Board President Suyu, Vice President Brad Beach, Clerk Michael Eugenio, and our distinguished board members, as well as our interim superintendent, Tuan Nguyen, and our wonderful cabinet that we have here in ABC. I've served here in ABC in many capacities, from school services to academic services. And before I begin, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the cabinet and Carol Castro for your faith and confidence in this work and supporting and working with some extraordinary people from secondary that you have gotten a chance to meet tonight. I am very fortunate to work with some of the finest teachers, counselor, and coordinator, as well as staff here in ABC. Tonight I'm here to really highlight the concerted efforts of our team. I'm very proud that we are working together across our K-12 programs to support all of our students. As discussed by my colleague, Dr. Bray, literacy for college and career readiness is the focus of secondary. Our goal is to ensure each and every student graduates from school in the position of choice, whether they choose college, career, or military, by demonstrating proficiency in the specific grade level specific 4 core anchor standards that include reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Our students will be deemed college and career ready. Through these standards, students should be able to engage in complex text, extract and employ evidence, and build knowledge. Literacy is the key to secure we are building today's readers to be tomorrow's leaders. We move to the next slide. So as illustrated by Dr. Castro and Mrs. Bray, the MTSS, or multiple tier systems of support, is systematic and continuous improvement framework in which students' performance data is used to create progressive plans to support and to ensure students meet literacy standards for college and career. Green represents our first support for all students and is categorized based on these 3 things. 1, instruction and assessment. 2, curriculum and programs. And 3, professional learning for staff. Research affirms that the best means of students to support them in learning is to make sure that teachers are giving and providing the best direct instruction. Here on the slide, we refer to teaching strategies and differentiated instruction to address the needs of all of our students. We have several programs listed here. StudySync, Springboard, and Read 80 serve as the core ELA instructional materials for ABC. To ensure progress, universal assessments of district benchmark and state assessments are monitored. We provide students with opportunity for credit recovery through Admentum, that is also listed here. Professional learning for teachers and staff includes MTSS, EL Roadmap, as well as a review of student performance. Based on the data, teachers are able to review assessments and revise lesson plans and address students' direct learning needs. On our next slide, building on core curriculum and Tier 1 of strategies, our strategic learners here in the yellow receive systematic structures to extend learning opportunities for academic improvement. We design a more prescriptive program for additional learning and support through summer school, zero period, and after-school programs. This adds to an extended learning options for all of our students, and particularly for our strategic students. All core materials offer lesson plans with multi-level integrated scaffolds. Listed here in particular is StudySync. We're proud to work with StudySync as it offers home language summaries and materials for students and parents to access the core materials. Our third level is students with intense learning needs, and we address these needs through intensive small group or individual instruction. Additional assessments are given to the students by the means of Read 80 and System 44 to identify specific learning needs. Through this assessment system, progress is monitored and evaluated. We are in the process of currently adopting an EOD newcomer program for language acquisition. In addition, we are most proud of the direction we are taking to support and encourage our English learners. In terms of professional learning, we provide opportunities for all administrators to participate in training on the framework of the EL Roadmap. New this year, we are incorporating site counselors and AP training to incorporate the EL Roadmap as a guiding framework to counsel EL students with a 4- and 6-year educational plan. We're very excited that each one of our students will have a plan moving through secondary school. Thus, students will be able to be placed in courses and programs based on the ELD matrix. We look forward to the adoption of the EL newcomer materials and creating a writing center with bilingual tutors at all of our Title I schools. Secondary EL counselors have been committed and wonderful for our schools. Their additional support in helping our kids to ensure that they're college and career ready has been more than monumental in terms of what the work they've been able to do at school. Secondary EL counselors are committed to supporting families and establishing a parent center upcoming this year. We will continue to connect with the normal resources that we have with ELAC and DLAC at the district level. Last but not least, and here's the question: how will we know if our MTSS systems are working? And it's truly through progress monitoring. We will monitor universal screenings with STAR testing, and that will be 4 times a year, and that is a K-12, and it shows a duality between our focus of K-12 assessments. We will monitor students identified for interventions. We will monitor assessments through the reading program and intervention programs, through our unit assessments, as well as our skills assessments that are given in the intervention programs, and of course, our district benchmarks and state assessments, including the California School Dashboard. We look forward to the work as we educate and inspire today's readers to be tomorrow's leaders. Thank you so much for your attention tonight, and my day 90, so I'm very excited. The day 90 for me today. We'll send it back to our Assistant Superintendent, Carol Castro.
Thank you. That does conclude our presentation. I hope you've seen that we are providing a comprehensive TK-12 overview. I do want to make a note that this plan was not just put together looking at data in isolation with just our team up here at district office. We did receive input from our site principals as well as input from our students and parents. Last year we held student voice forums. We received input regarding programs from our EL students and really comprehensively across the board, all of our students, as well as both our English learner parents and then all parents. We looked at that data as well. So again, thank you again for giving us the opportunity to present with this information. With that, I open it up to any questions or comments.
Thank you. We have one question. First, we start with board member Sophia Say.
I just have one question about what is Read 180 and the difference between Read 180 and Read 180 System 44?
Thank you for the question. Read 180 Universal is a program that's a hybrid of both in print and technology. It is a reading intervention program mostly for secondary schools where it supports students with different levels. They are tested in the program and then they're given a prescription based on their individual needs. And then teachers are given a curriculum where they can do whole group instruction as well as small group instruction. It also includes readers that are appropriate for their age level so that students can read any materials appropriate to their level range, whether they're at a Lexile of 200 or a Lexile of 1,000. So it's really, truly a comprehensive reading intervention program. Within that same system, System 44 is for students who are struggling a little bit more and need a little bit more scaffolded support, and they can graduate from System 44 into Read 180, which is then the next level of that program.
According to what one of the slides say, we're looking for an EL counselor for total another 11 staff, and we're looking for hire or what?
Yeah, we're looking to hire additional EL counselors specifically for our elementary schools. We do have schools that have higher percentages of English learner students, and so our staffing will be based on the schools that have high needs and the percentages of English learners, and then providing them support across all Title I schools as well. And currently we have a total of 12 Title I schools, but again, it depends on the percentage of English learner students.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Board Member Dr. Olga Rios.
Thank you, Madam President. So I'm very excited, very excited. I share the team's excitement with us taking such a strategic action in improving the scores. I'm honestly a little disappointed, but we know that the pandemic did create factors beyond our control. But I'm also would like to remind all of us that this is exactly why we got so much money here at the district, was to provide services for English learners. And so I'm always excited to see new programs because, as always, we want to look at, okay, whatever we put in place didn't give us the results we wanted, which ultimately is great results. And I say this as an English learner. I know that several of the board members up here share that. Being an English learner is an asset, and it allows us to do really well in school when we're prepared to do so. I do have a few questions. One of them is, I know professionally how important a universal screener is. Is there a reason why we have STAR as, I just would like an opinion. Is this the best that's out there as far as providing the data that we need to move forward in improving our achievement?
Yes, even before the pandemic, we had vetted several different programs for a universal screener. And the reason we landed upon a STAR reading assessments is really because it was able to provide comprehensively for K to 12, a program that we know students could follow. It provided Lexile information, which we know some of our schools that are using Scholastic AR and different programs like that would need that type of information. It was also really because we needed a norm reference test, something that we could say, that across the board we could actually look at that had been vetted extensively, not just locally, but across the nation. And so we know that this STAR reading assessment is being used. And so there's a lot of data that shows its efficacy in terms of being able to show us the local score. So the assessments we get throughout the year, 4 times a year, we do see reflected in our STAR reading, in our summative assessments, right? So the scores translate, in other words. So it is a good tool to monitor progress as we're moving along.
Thank you. The other one is in relation to, I'm excited. I've heard really good things about the programs that are digital, but we know that direct instruction and teachers make the biggest difference. So I did like to hear a lot about how you're working on building teacher efficacy, because the science of reading has been around for 50 years, and it feels like we're just now catching up with it. And so we know how kids learn to read, and so, but you talk to most teachers, and most teachers were not trained. And so it's very important that we across the district are putting a lot of our efforts there. Very happy to see that, which again goes back to when we look at those Tier 3 students that are in desperate need of remediation, that we consider teachers, whether that be additional intervention teachers, not just programs. Let me just look at my notes. The focus on data is also very important, and I would also like to not just use Title I schools as a metric, but look at the data. I mean, I remember looking at data, and it was some schools where 80% of the kids were at or above standard. Only 20% were meeting. And so when we look at numbers that are that alarming, I would again encourage us to consider really using that money that we have that was provided specifically for closing the gap for English learners, low income, and foster and homeless children. And I think that about does it. I mean, I really applaud our efforts, and progress monitoring is going to be very important because it only matters if we are looking at what we're doing and evaluating whether or not it's giving us the results we want, which is ultimately an improvement in their achievement. That is all. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Next, we have Board Vice President Brad Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to start by thanking our cabinet and our staff, many of whom are here today, for this very thorough plan. This is one of the best plans I've seen since I've been on the board, and I just want to say great job and well done. I'm really glad to see the use of data analysis teams and also the individual development plans. I think it's important to measure our successes and also our failures and then make modifications where necessary. I do have one question for Tuan. I think I know the answer, but for the community, are the professional learning days and also the EL counselors coming out of one-time monies?
Yes, that's the short answer. We have sufficient funding for a 3 to 5 year plan. So it's one time up to 3 to 5 years, and this is the critical year, beginning with this year and the next few years, to support those students that are impacted by the pandemic. So the answer is yes, funding specifically one time in nature, but we were able to leverage the different one-time pots to extend it to about 3 to 5 year programs to support our students.
Okay. Thank you. I think spending the money on our EL students was a great idea, and I just want to once again applaud you for your hard work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, it's good to be back in person. I can see all of your excitement. I was an English learner since I was in 3rd grade, and I struggled so much. I remember daydreaming all the time because I couldn't understand, and I wasn't literate in my Korean. And I'm learning a new language. You know, I think primary years is very difficult. How many years does an average student go through before they are assessed to graduate from the English learner?
Thank you for the question. I think it just really depends on the student's needs. As you saw, it could vary from student to student. Our goal, as we indicated, was to increase reclassification before they leave elementary school, because there is a greater impact on students when they go to secondary schools and they haven't been reclassified. So we want to make sure that we do that. Typically, on average, we would like to see students be in the program for 4 years or less, if possible. But that is also why we have a Reading by 3rd grade initiative. So if an English learner comes in the earlier years, we can try to get them accelerated to move through the program. So it really depends on the population, when, the years that they come in. Obviously, like for some of our experiences for students, if they come in as a 6th grader, right, that might take them a little bit longer because they're dealing with different challenges than if they came in as a 2nd grader. So it varies from student to student, but overall our goal to increase reclassification is to really shorten those years that they're in the program.
Thank you. 4 years average. I really like these pillars. Yeah, fantastic. I think those are, really, core topics. I could tell you guys were all excited about this too, as you did the presentation. Attention span of an average student decreased from like 7 to 10 minutes to like 7 seconds or something. That's what I read. I mean, it's just so difficult to teach English. And I have to applaud all of you guys for teaching English. And yet, this is the most important foundation, so I like to hear what are some of the challenges as you teach the students of, these 5 pillars to the English learners.
Thank you. I think we will be able to provide a more comprehensive overview for you in Thursday notes on some of the challenges, but certainly some of our greatest challenges that we face is ensuring that we have the appropriate support systems for our schools, and not support systems just for the classroom, for our teachers, but also for our students and our families. So that's why it's really a comprehensive effort. Some of the challenges may be communication and making sure parents are involved and aware of the different structures and systems, and so that's part of why we wanted to have parent liaisons. Some of the challenges may be that students don't understand the impact of these assessments and what they can do for them and how they can help them move forward in their future toward their college and career goals. And so that's why we have our EL academic counselors as part of that. And some of the challenges might be the actual instruction and curriculum in the classroom, and making sure, some teachers have, like you said, 80% of their class may be English learner in some schools, and then some schools you have a minority of students that are English learners, but regardless, that we have the support systems to support all students no matter what. And so that's why we look at the curriculum and the professional learning. So those are all the different challenges we've addressed in the plan to try to make sure that it's a comprehensive support system and that we can then approach the whole child.
On page 3, the intervention tutors, are these like one-on-one tutor? One-on-one?
Depends on how the teacher utilizes the tutors. For many of the programs, the tutors are initially intended to be small group instruction. So for example, if I have a class of 20, I've assessed my students, and I know that 3 of my students need more practice on phonemic awareness, and so the literacy tutor and I have spoken about that, and they sit in a small group and somewhere in the room or nearby while I work with the remainder of students on another lesson, so that students have this, more personalized support with the literacy tutor in the room.
That is all of my questions. Thank you very much, and good luck for this rest of the year. Okay, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay. Right. Thank you, Ms. Castro. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of October 4th, 2022?
Motion to approve, Eugenio.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 20, 2022?
Motion to approve, Eugenio.
Second by Sophia.
Madam President, before we vote, I have a comment on the minutes. Under Human Resources 2.44, where we established the new job classification for the campus safety and security officer. In the beginning, it says that we motion and then go forward. I think I made a alternate motion or an addition to it that said we would strike the language from the district office level and the private security officer. If that's everybody's recollection, I think it should say in here that that motion was made, it was seconded, and that's what we voted on, because it's not clear.
Okay. Danielle, did you get the updated correction that Brad Beach just made a note?
Thank you.
She's so focused. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 2022?
Motion to approve, Eugenio. Second.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good. All right. Good evening and happy October. I can't believe we are already in October and only a month and a half away from fall break. I continue to hear from parents that they are happy with how school is going so far this year, except for the starting time. I continue to work closely with our interim superintendent to ensure that student academic achievement remains at the forefront of what we do at ABC. I know our teachers and staff are working hard to assist students, and I also know that we have more academic support than ever for those students who need it. Finally, I want to wish those who celebrated a blessed Yom Kippur. Also, October is Filipino American Heritage Month. We are truly blessed to live in such a diverse community and serve such a diverse group of students and families. That is my report for tonight. Thank you. Azul Martinez and Ray Ong of Artesia High School.
Good evening, Mrs. Yu, Board President, Mr. Beach, Board Vice President, Dr. Eugenio, Board Clerk, Dr. Apodaca, Mr. Nishi, Dr. Rios, Mrs. Tsu, Interim Superintendent Mr. Nguyen, and esteemed cabinet members. I am Ray Ung, ASB President of Artesia High School. My counterpart Azul Martinez will not be able to join us for this board meeting tonight due to a family emergency. Today, I will be presenting the 2022 to 2023 school year report, with the main focus being registration, parent-student orientations, first day of school, school-wide events, and and college preparation. During the summer, ASB started off with their leadership camp that took place at the end of July, which enhanced both Renaissance and ASB skills to apply problem-solving techniques, build confidence, and to bond with each other as a whole team. The first week of school was a complete success as administrators and leadership worked together to give students their schedules and help navigate students on our campus. On the first day of school, seniors also continued the tradition of giving out an incentive to their fellow seniors to commemorate the motivation throughout their 3 years. During Artesia's registration days, students received their schedules, Chromebooks, and information about COVID protocols. During registration, students were able to meet one-on-one with their counselors to talk about any complications or modifications to their schedule. Student attendance for each registration was over 75%. A student and parent orientation took place on August 10th for the class of 2026 prior to the start of school. This was hosted in person with a great turnout as our gym was completely filled. Parents and guardians were escorted to the gym, and the class of 2026 was escorted to Artesia's quad. During this time, parents and guardians were first made aware of our bell schedule as well as our block schedule the students would need to become familiar with. The presentation continued with graduation requirements, student expectations, and various career pathways that Artesia High School has to offer. Leadership students went over Artesia's dress code with the class of 2026 by performing a fun dress code skit. After the presentation, the students were able to participate in games hosted by leadership students, where they had an opportunity to win tickets to be entered into a raffle for school merchandise. In order to prepare the class of 2023 seniors for their college application process, Artesia's College and Career Specialist hosted a 3-day college boot camp in person in mid-August. Throughout this 3-day boot camp, seniors learned about creating their college application accounts, asking for letters of recommendation, writing college essays, applying for financial aid, and incorporating professional development and etiquette into their lifestyles. All of the presentation slides were emailed to seniors for future reference, and those who were unable to attend the sessions were given access to the slides. Regarding school events, we kicked off Artesia Sports Rush on August 23rd. Here, students were able to sign up for different sports that they were interested in playing. We also held Club Rush on September 13th during homeroom for students to explore and join different clubs on campus. Aside from Club Rush, seniors finished painting their senior square and will add their names on October 5th. In addition to the boot camp mentioned before, our college and career specialists, along with our administrators, hosted the annual college night on September 14th. The institutions that were invited included Chapman University, Cerritos College, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, UC Santa Barbara, and ROTC. This allowed students to explore these colleges' admissions process, get advice about their college applications, essays, and programs. Our college and career specialists will be hosting a Cal State University application kickoff on October 4th and financial aid kickoff on October 12th, as these applications open up on October 1st. After these events, they will be hosting college application workshops and financial aid workshops weekly. In November, the student union will host their UC application kickoff event to help seniors with personal insight questions and their UC application. To encourage seniors to apply to college, our college and career specialists assigned a fall semester assignment to apply to at least one college, university, or trade school. During Thanksgiving break, we will also have our fall break application workshop to assist students with submitting their CSU and/or UC applications. The College and Career Specialist will also have an I Applied to College rally in early December to honor and celebrate our students for submitting their college applications. We had our Senior Information and Financial Aid Night on September 21st, where seniors and their families were presented information regarding college applications, event dates, A through G requirements, graduation status, and the process to apply for financial aid from a representative from Cerrito College. The presentation was presented in both English and Spanish to accommodate for all our seniors and their families. From September 15th to October 15th, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month through music and decorations. On September 23rd, Renaissance distributed Renaissance cards during homeroom. Renaissance cards are awarded to students who have maintained and improved their GPAs. These cards are distributed at the beginning of every semester and are based off of their previous semester GPAs. Renaissance card holders are rewarded with incentives, raffles, and monthly rallies. This year, card holders were also rewarded with a card, certificate, and ID holder. Renaissance card distribution was promoted with posters throughout our campus and social media posts posted on Renaissance's Instagram page. This year, we are proud to say more than 600 students received Renaissance cards, with most students improving their GPA by 0.5. Renaissance will be hosting their annual Halloween Carnival on October 28th. On September 28th, Artesia hosted Report Card Night, where parents and students were able to meet one-on-one with their teachers to discuss their students' progress. All teachers were made available from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to talk to students and parents. We had a great turnout with lots of parents and students waiting in line. While they waited, they had the opportunity to purchase delicious food from the food trucks we had there. On Thursday, September 29th, we congratulated our homecoming court winners with a court reveal where they received sashes and crowns. We will be having our homecoming rally and dance this Friday, October 7th, with the theme being Neverland. We will continue to push forward with more exciting events in the future. While we plan these events, we understand that our process will need to be flexible in order to maintain the safety of all students, which is always our priority. We look forward to reporting more about our successes at Artesia High School. Are there any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Thank you so much, Ray. Usually we have two people share. That was a lot of talking, and you did wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I happen to be at Report Card Night and really congratulate the staff of Artesia. It's always such a welcoming place. Great turnout, and I would try to have a conversation with Mr. Garcia, and minutes would go by before a parent would come up and want to talk to him about their kid, and he always knew who they were talking about and would take time to talk to them. But that's the kind of environment that is there, and I applaud the entire staff, so thank you. And yeah, you did a great job, and a lot of stuff is happening at Artesia. Thank you for sharing about all of it, and we will be monitoring and wish you much continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rios.
Great. We have one more. Ernie Nishi.
Thank you, Madam President. So yes, that was a great presentation. You have to take over at the very last second and do the whole thing, and so I'm glad you didn't run out of breath. And if your mom or dad's here, congratulations, mom or dad. You have a future great leader, I think. So congratulations there. And I got to go to the back to school night, and wanted to say that good principals make a difference. I just remember I'm walking through that like I'm oblivious to all the different facts, but the principal sees everything, and your principal is one of the better ones that can see a kid just crying, and I won't notice, but will find ways to make that one student feel valued and not lose that particular kid. So I think you are very lucky to have a great school, great staff that's supportive, and a great principal. So everybody matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nishi.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Artesia High School principal along with the rest of the staff and counselors. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. You have so much support. You don't come alone. I really want to applaud Artesia High School, the I Apply to College rally and the campaign to make sure every student applies. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have interim superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll make it really short. Last week, I attended the LACO superintendent's meetings and the Self-Joint Powers Authority meeting. This is the group that look at best practices for school districts, provide advocacy for sufficient funding, and also support for school districts. That was a really good 2 days meeting that I had to take back a lot of information that hopefully we can use to improve ourselves. Yesterday, I provided an update about the district with the Artesia Cerritos Rotary Club. This group has been very supportive of ABC for many years, and we look forward to continue working with them. And I appreciate the invitation from the club, the president, Mr. Rene Trevino, for a visit with them. It was, I believe, it was a good meeting that we had. I continue to visit schools. I think it's like a perk. I enjoy doing that. Today I was at Fetty Middle School and Tetzlaff Middle School. Great schools. We have, I was able to talk to students, teachers, and principals. Then maybe it was me, but they were all very happy to be at the school. So thank you, Madam President. That's my report.
Everybody's just so excited to see each other. Okay, public hearings. I would like to open a public hearing on the initial proposal submitted by the ABC American Federation of Teachers, Local 2317, California Federation of Teachers, American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO, to reopen negotiations for a successor collective bargaining contract for the 2020-2023 master contract. Copies of initial proposal are available for the public to review. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments, Madam President.
Okay, hearing no comments, the public hearing is closed. I would like to open a public hearing on the ABC Unified School District negotiating team response to the ABC American Federation of Teachers, Local 2317, California Federation of Teachers, American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO, to reopen negotiations for a successor collective bargaining contract for the 2022-2023 master contract. Copies of district response are available for the public to view. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments, Madam President.
Okay, hearing no public comments, the public hearing is closed. May I have a motion to be excused for myself for personal reasons?
Motion to excuse Eugenio.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
All right, public comments. Dr. Yenyo.
Thank you, VP. Persons wishing to address the board should fill out a card located on the table by the door and place in the silver tin. Speakers will be called in sequence during public comment section, which is limited to 1 hour, and each speaker to one presentation of 5 minutes, unless the board wishes to waive the time limit. Those who have a group concern are encouraged to select a spokesperson to address the board. Persons wishing to address the board on a specific agenda item at a time the item is under discussion are limited to 5 minutes each and will be called to speak following the staff comments and prior to the board's discussion and taking action. Adverse remarks about a person's race, ancestry, ethnic group, identification, religion, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender, mental or physical disability, or age may not be made. Please avoid remarks or charges which reflect upon the character, motives, qualifications, or ability of any school district employee. Concerns presented to the board will be followed up and addressed by the appropriate staff. Our first speaker, we have Sam Desai.
Good evening, Vice President Brad Beach, Interim Superintendent Yun, Mr. Nishi, Dr. Reyes, Dr. Akadaka, Sophia Tsay, Dr. Eugenio. First of all, I want to invite everyone to a town hall with Sam Desai. It's going to happen on October 7th, Friday, 11 a.m. And the subject is ABC Unified School District. I'm a resident of Cerritos. I've been here for 20 years. For just about last 10 years, I have started paying attention to our school district. My children are friends of many of your children. Many of you have also taken interest in getting to know them, listen to them, and during your presentation, you have reached out to them and been very friendly with them. And I would like us to please remember that as the schools have opened, my children's safety is also in your hands. A lot of things have happened this year when it comes to safety. And one thing that parents like me are interested in knowing is what policy changes have we made concerning safety of our children. We have talked about safety a lot. We have gone deep and investigate why certain incidences have happened on our campuses. We have also found different ways we can improve, and you have spoken with each other about it. Now we are curious what policy change has occurred. So the town hall that I'm inviting you and the parents at home this October 7th, which is Friday at 11 a.m., is to address all these open issues. We will talk about what is it that you want as a parent to see improve in our school district. Now, I am running.
I'd like to mention about this policy in our school district. Any campaign election thing should not within the campus, and this is our rule and policy there. I remember back in 4 or 5 years ago, we had a big issue with the people who are running for election. So I'd like the board to understand that.
Board member Say, can you
yes.
please not interrupt the public speaker? And can you stop his time while she's speaking? Can he finish, please?
Yeah, but I want to remind the board, this is soliciting the election during the public education. We can't allow to do that.
Well, he can say whatever he wants in public comment.
I understand that, but still, we have to follow our policy there too.
Thank you. Sofiatse, I understand that. You're not being rude. You're protecting the policy. And the reason I'm asking to be part of this group is so we can talk to each other. We can communicate about what is policy which works and what are policies which people use for political purposes. It's important for this board to understand we can work together. Safety is important, rules are important, and education is also important. So this town hall, if I may go back, is important for the parents of all ABC Unified School District. One example, fiscal management. A lot of us know each other from Measure BB time. Property taxes going up, schools being upgraded, right? Now another measure is coming up on the ballot, which is important to my friends and family who lives in our ABC Unified School District who have seen waste happen. The town hall information you can find is just by looking up Sam Desai. It's on Facebook, it's also on internet, and it's going to be a Zoom town hall. We will address safety, we will address accountability, we will address what is potentially possible for our school district. Please come. Parents, it's important that you get this message. If we can talk to each other, if you can tell us what is it that you want, then people like us can stand here and represent you. Students before politics. That is why this town hall is important. I'm a parent. I want to know what's going on. I want other parents' feedback. And most importantly, when they stand here and give the feedback, I want you to be all inviting. So thank you for your time. I appreciate all your comments and looking forward to see you on October 7th, 11 o'clock on Zoom. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President, there are no further comments.
Wait.
Oh, there's one more. Correction.
Other public comment?
Next, we have Mackenzie Rowe.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mackenzie Rowe, and I'm an 8th grade student at Tesloff Middle School. On September 8th, as I walked onto campus, I was dress coded. Barely even making it to my locker, my mother was called to pick me up so I can change. I was wearing this exact outfit. For what violation? I was told my pants were too baggy. Given my size, everything I wear is baggy, and nothing fits me without a belt. I have been told by many peers who have also been dress coded that we are not allowed to wear belts and pants because our pants are supposed to fit us. Given today's trends, it is hard to find pants that fit at the waist but are not baggy in the leg. And if they are tight in the leg, they become too tight, which makes me uncomfortable. For comfort, I don't like to wear skinny jeans. As I continue and state my concerns, I will be referring to the Tesloff Middle School Handbook section. To save on time, I will not be reading the whole dress code section, just addressing my key points. The Tesloff Handbook states, anything worn that may be deemed disruptive or inappropriate by the administration will not be acceptable on campus. What one may deem as inappropriate may not be the same for the next. This is now left to the administrative viewpoint. How can administration deem anything and not come off as bias? The handbook also states that appropriate dress should allow all students to feel comfortable and provide a sense of security from threat. I feel that tight clothing is very uncomfortable and makes me view myself in a different way. Tight clothing does not help my mental state. I struggle with eating habits as it is, and I do feel I look at myself differently when standing in the mirror in tight clothing. Me being in these pants here today show my comfort and show how I'm able to stand here before you tonight. Thank you for your time and listening to my concerns, and also acknowledge the bigger picture. Where is the insurance on my mental state and education? Thank you.
Mr. Vice President, there are no further comments.
Ms. Roa, before you leave, I just want to say it takes a lot of courage for you to come up here and speak on your own behalf. I thank you for that, and staff will definitely follow up with you and your mother. So thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved, Apodaca.
Eugenio, second.
Is there anyone that wishes to remove any items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 6-0. All right, action items. 1.2A, reading of revised board policy and administrative regulation 5116.1, interdistrict open enrollment. May I have a motion to approve the revised board policy and administrative regulation 5116.1, intradistrict open enrollment?
So moved, Apodaca.
Eugenio, second.
Dr. Zito.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to bring a few policies before you, and they are in regard to our open enrollment process and our interdistrict permits. And so with us this evening to present the changes to you is our Director of Secondary Schools and Child Welfare and Attendance, Dr. Ricardo Lois.
Good evening, Vice President Beach, Clerk Dr. Eugenio, respected board members, and Interim Superintendent Mr. Nguyen. We bring forward to you some proposed changes to Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 5116.1, which pretty much regulate intradistrict open enrollment. The purpose of these changes are, first of all, to make some changes that are aligned to changes in California Education Code regarding the enrollment of TK moving into the next few years, and also to make some changes in process regarding open enrollment or schools of choice in response to an earlier start of the school year next year. and also to clarify and streamline the process that we've had in place in our district since November 9th of 2019. You have the documents in front of you. I will highlight some of the main changes just to point them out to the board. If you look at page 83 or BP 5116.1B, you'll see that the open enrollment process had 9 ranks. As a former principal of 10 years, as someone that worked with families and administrators, this was very confusing to our community and challenging to implement in a way that was clear and just made sense to our community. So the proposed changes would eliminate all but 2 of the rankings. The first one would be for sibling applicants of students who are already attending our schools, and then the second one would be for students who reside in the district, and that would include students who want to attend a specialized program within the district. As you see, the language has changed to mention all ABC residents. That doesn't mean we'd be excluding those that do not live in the ABC Unified School District area. Those would still have the opportunity to enter our school district through the inter-district permit process, but it would take that process out of schools of choice or open enrollment for just greater clarity to the process. As you notice, there were rankings that involved our employees. We removed those because if our employees live in the residence area, they'd go through the same process as everyone else. And if they live outside the district, they would then go through the inter-district process. Also on page 84, or BP 116.1C, you'll notice a change to the intra-district permit request timeline. If our families are not successful in the schools of choice process, they're still able to petition through an intra-district permit request based on childcare for our elementary, and then in our secondary, childcare is not considered, but we do consider for all TK through 12 issues of medical needs or special circumstances regarding safety or whatnot, or social adjustment, better said. The date for that has been moved, or is proposed to move from June to April 1st to coincide with the change in schools of choice, moving up earlier to begin in January. And there was some language noting that when families do present intra-district permit regarding a social adjustment need or a medical need, that note needs to be from a specialist in the field of the request. So for example, if I'm requesting my child to go to a different school on a permit because they might have an anxiety disorder, that cannot be from, their just general practitioner or a pastor or someone of that nature. It would have to be from a mental health professional, just to give the example. Also, if you look further down on BP 5116.1C, you'll notice that our enrollment procedures will begin in the month of January for schools of choice. So that coincides with the earlier school year. It also keeps us competitive with other districts who have this process earlier in the school year and ensures that we're keeping our students within our district, as well as acquiring students that are good additions to our district as well. With any change in board policy, you have reflective changes to the administrative regulation. You would see those most heavily on AR 5116.1E, or page 90. That's where you'll see the piece on a transitional kindergarten and the enrollment ages for students coinciding with each year for the next several years. On the following page, you'll see the same changes to the rank order for open enrollment that are suggested in board policy. So that's the same language. And if you flip on over to AR 5116.1G, you'll notice more language regarding intra-district permit request. Those permits would open up, or the suggested opening would be April 1st instead of June. Once again, shifting the calendar earlier due to schools of choice and the change in that calendar. And again, you'll see enrollment procedures starting in the month of January for schools of choice. Those usually in the past would start in March. And those are the proposed changes to board policy and administrative regulations. This was presented to our Legislative Policy Committee last week. They provided input, and we did make some changes based on that input.
All right, board comments. I see Board Member Sophia Say.
Hi, Mr. Lewis. Is this a new policy from CSBA? It seems like, we used to be parent local resident first, right? And then we open to the outside public. But your first sentence says neighborhood public school concept.
This is not a new policy.
Because you based on neighborhood
This is
concept?
our current policy, and the main change is moving school of choice really timeline to fit with an earlier start of the school year, and to move it so that it's about residents only,
Mhm.
those who actually live within the district. It's to simplify the policy.
Okay, but it's still pretty much same, I mean, not change it, because the way I look at that is a little different to me. I mean, I read this policy before. This is went through the, we don't have that.
The
school
policy
choice,
committee?
Committee anymore.
This went to the Board Policy Advisory Committee that the board has established, but its intention is to simplify the policy. Those who are from outside of the district would not be part of School of Choice. When School of Choice was completed, they would have we have a different policy for inter-district permits.
So you're moving the day for March 1st to January 1st? Is that
The
what you
reason
said?
we're moving the date is because school is going to now begin earlier in August, this coming August. And so we need to be finished with this process sooner in order to make sure we have students in their schools and placed in enough time for an earlier start.
And they can reappeal based on childcare, things like that?
If they don't get School of Choice, they can then put in the intra permit, which is within the district, and there are reasons for that. And there's an appeal process with that.
So School of Choice opened to the public January, right? Now we moved them couple months earlier.
Correct.
And then intra-district reapply, what is the due date, time?
April 1st.
April 1st?
Yes.
So April 1st, they have a second.
Yeah, so to look at the
That's pretty
timeline,
good.
Schools of Choice opens of January through the month of January.
To the
February, we clean
January
up the
the
data
31st.
for child welfare and attendance. They clean up the data. And then March, they start informing families. Those families have till the end of March to make their decisions based on placements that are offered, based on a lottery. And then April 1st, we open up inter-district permits from outside the district. This separates our residents from inter-district permits, and it just clarifies that they're two separate procedures. In the past, everything was lumped in together, which causes a lot of confusions to residents, or to individuals outside of our attendance boundaries. So it separates both processes, like Dr. Zitlo mentioned, with the idea that school is starting earlier next year. And again, other districts are doing this early as well. It ensures that our students can make placement decisions if they want to go through schools of choice in a similar time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Ernie Nishii.
Yes, actually, the Legislative Review Committee did a great job of really putting me to the test and asking my legal opinion. I don't know if we ever got any additional legal opinion, but this is not a change in policy. It's a simplification. Because people would always say, oh, I thought residents get first, and I saw this other person out. It takes it all out. It makes it down 1, 2. That's it. This other stuff is surplusage. We don't need that particular language in there. So that's one of the great things. That was a good idea to simplify this, make it easier for general residents to do this. I didn't really want to say anything about this, but the work of the committee really needs to be commended on this because they really look through that these words make a difference. And and it even makes us a little bit more competitive, right? Because you're able to make a decision sooner rather than later, where everybody else is making a decision later. If we're competing against neighboring districts, we got to let them know what their status is. Did they get the right school earlier or not? So clearly this helps make us more competitive with our surrounding areas. I'm thinking it can make it easier for our residents to understand. Just good job, committee, and I have no further questions. Thank you.
And just a quick comment from me. I think this is an excellent idea. This is something that I've talked to our interim superintendent about. It's something that we didn't get done on the School of Choice Committee that I would have liked to. We've had glitches in our software before, as the public knows, where out-of-district kids have gotten into schools ahead of residents. This is very clear, cleans it up. I appreciate it. I think it's a great idea. All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, 1.3A, reading a revised Administrative Regulation 5117, interdistrict attendance. May I have a motion to approve revised Administrative Regulation 5117, interdistrict attendance?
So moved.
You had no second.
Dr. Zitlo.
Thank you. So this policy has come with its changes connected to the last one that you just looked at and approved. And so Dr. Lois is going to walk you through those changes as well.
This is a very simple change just in response to the changes in the prior policy. It's a change in the inter-district attendance application window to April 1st instead of June 1st. So it's just an adjustment based on a change of the open enrollment schools of choice timeline. And that's the only change you'll see there.
Any board comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 2.2A, Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the ABC Federation of Teachers, Local 2317, California Federation of Teachers, American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO, regarding health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year. May I have a motion to approve Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the ABC Federation of Teachers, Local 2317, California Federation of Teachers, American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO, regarding health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved by Sophia.
Eugenio, second.
Dr. Zito.
Thank you. So this item and the next two that follow outline the changes that we had this year with our health benefits cost. We did see a 9.41% increase, and the approximate amount is listed there in the 1.6 million range to our cost. As you look at the items for each of the groups as we go through them, you'll notice that both the TRIO plan with Blue Shield as well as the Kaiser plan is free for our full-time employees up through family care. If families want something additional to that or an employee does, this tells you the amounts that they would pay over and above the full amount that we provide. And so this is the information that we have shared through our insurance committee with all of our employee groups and is coming before you for approval.
Okay, thank you. Any board comments? Board Member Ernie Nishii.
So I've heard that we have pretty good benefits. How does this compare to other districts?
So most other districts, you would not necessarily have full family. You may have full coverage for you as the employee, but you'd have to pay for maybe a spouse. It really depends on the school district you're in and how they have arranged their benefits. One of the things in ABC, as I've been on that insurance committee for a number of years now, before as a management representative and now in my HR capacity, it's a very real reality for the committee that this is a valued benefit that's not always available in other places. And so they really work to push our negotiators to get us the best deal, the lowest increase if we're having an increase. But they know that there's value in this for our employees. But most other places you are going to pay.
So let me see if I got this right. So 2,294 is what we contribute as a district for a single party? Or is that, what is that? PPO, 4,925?
So if an employee wanted more than the TRIO family plan, they wanted to have all the way up through the PPO option, we would pay for the TRIO part and they would pay an additional, as an employee, 2,294. So
is that for a year or for just a month, or?
That would be a month.
A month, okay. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, 2.3A, Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, regarding health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year. May I have a motion to approve Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, regarding health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year?
Motion approved, Eugenio.
Second, Nishi.
Dr. Zitlo show.
Thank you. So this is for our AFSCME employees, and the increase is the same across the district. The cost is less. There are less AFSCME employees, but the amounts are provided the same. So regardless of which unit you're in, you have full coverage up through family with TRIO or Kaiser, and then if you wanted to do more than that, you would be able to through the additional Blue Shield plans.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Any board comments? Dr. Apodaca.
Thank you, Mr. Interim President. Dr. Zietlow, is this still through Burnham? Were they the brokers on this?
Burnham was the broker for us last year, yes.
So that's reflected, though, this is from Burnham, correct? We're approving it from last year, but it's still Burnham.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 2.4A, tentative agreement with non-representative employee groups for health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year. May I have a motion to approve the tentative agreement with non-representative employee groups for health and welfare benefits for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved, Apodaca.
Eugenio, second.
Dr. Zietlow.
Thank you. This is the final one on health and welfare benefits. Again, you'll see everything is the same, and it's for our management confidential employees.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes 6-0. 2.5A, disclosure and public hearing regarding tentative agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36. May I have a motion to disclose the tentative agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, in accordance with provisions of AB 1200, and conduct a public hearing of the components of the disclosure?
So moved, Apodaca.
Eugenio, second.
Dr. Zietlow.
Thank you. So this is our AB 1200 document. We provide this every time we do any kind of compensation agreement with our employee groups. This is our opportunity to legally disclose and show that we as a district have sufficient funds to be able to provide the compensation we have agreed to with the union. Because this is for the 2021-2022 school year, so last year, this funds were already accounted for and planned for in our previous budgeting, and so we have sufficient funds for this matter. And so this document details out, based on the requirements of the county, each of the funds that the amounts come from, depending on if the employees work for food service or work for adult school, et cetera. And it shows that we are able to handle the agreement we have made not only in this current year, but 2 subsequent years.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Any board discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, hearing no further comments, public hearing is closed. Passed 6-0. All right, 2.6A, tentative agreement between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, for a master contract agreement from July 1, 2019 through July 30, 2023. May I have a motion to approve the tentative agreement between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, for a master contract agreement from July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2023.
Motion approved, Eugenio.
Second, Apodaca.
Dr. Zietlow.
Thank you. So our tentative agreement has the compensation on and off schedule amounts that were similar to all of our other groups that we agreed to last year. We made some updates to differentials as well as some changes in our food service staff at the sites to increase their ranges. Some of the pieces that are in here are just adding in information about laws that have changed. One of the major ones is the change to layoff and reemployment. Previously, it was a 60-day notice for classified employees, and so we had to update our language to now show a March 15th change in that process for classified employees that now mirrors what happens with certificated employees. Most of the other language work in here was cleaning up and making it more clear as to who could be involved if we were dealing with video surveillance or you needed union representation.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comments?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
All right, board discussion. Mr. Nishii.
Yes, hi. I have a quick question. Thank you, President. So this is for last year's pay.
Correct.
How do we process that? Do they get a big bonus at Christmas or?
So it's pretty complicated, but we will begin working on that. We have a meeting about it tomorrow, if you approve this. We have to first start with looking at the number of employees, what the process will take for us to basically go back and do 12 months of on-schedule pay, off-schedule pay. Once we have kind of our time frame of what we think it will take for HR staff to be able to input that, and then what it will take for payroll staff to be able to do their side of that, we then get a retro date from LACO. So it may be November, it may be December. We're subject to their schedule.
Around Christmas, probably.
That's when it will open, when we can actually begin to input. So depending, this could be more of a springtime.
Okay, so they get the actual check of the retro in the spring.
Correct.
Do we give interest for that? I'm just asking.
That is not part of the
No.
agreement. The answer is no.
Okay, because it was supposed to be for last year's pay. So.
Correct. So we have to go through the process, and we go through the negotiation process, however long it takes. Then once we have an agreement, we just go back and pay.
Understood. And the negotiations based upon the prediction that they are going to get it in April, so therefore they would have already calculated that into the amount of wages they would accept typically. But with the other unions, did they get the monies earlier?
So once we processed the teachers, back last March, we were able to get theirs processed through, I think we were done in June. We've been currently processing CSEA and management. It takes a little bit longer with classified employees because it's not as simple of a process. We have a lot of people who go on upgrades, do overtime, and so we have to recalculate each of those individually. And so it takes a little bit longer with our staff to do all of our classified employees.
So by the time they receive it, inflation would have increased a bit more too, I'm thinking, by that time.
Possibly.
Okay. I just, obviously, I'm not renegotiating this. It's just an issue of inflation between the time that we've approved it and the time they actually receive it, and the other unions which got it in June.
Yeah.
I just needed to know. Thank you. That's all.
Dr. Apodaca.
Thank you, Mr. President. You're making poor Tuan sweat, Mr. Nishi. I had a question with regards to, since this is being applied to wages and hours worked or wages earned, what about those who retire or their relationship gets terminated? Is there a forfeiture, or are they?
No, so anyone who has worked, whatever time they worked, we would go back and do the retro for that work time. So if they retired, they will receive it. If they resign to do something else at some point in the year, whatever part of the year they worked, they will
Termination
receive
for cause?
I don't believe I had any of
Okay.
those, so
Okay.
we're good.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
All right, seeing no further comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 2.7A, Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, amending Article 11, calendar and modifying Article 16, personal necessity leave of absence with pay for the 2022-2023 and the 2023-2024 school years. May I have a motion to approve Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 2229, Council 36, amending Article 11, calendar and modifying Article 16, personal necessity, leave of absence with pay for the 2022-2023 and the 2023-2024 school years.
Motion approved, Eugenio.
Second, Nishi.
Dr. Zietlow.
Thank you. So we were able to work with AFSCME to establish calendars for the current school year as well as next year, as we did with all of our other groups. In this case, because we do a fall break, that can place a hardship for our 10-month employees in the use of their vacation time if they are new to the district. And so that's the reason we have established the PN days to be able to go to 10 if they need to accommodate for that, because they may not have enough vacation time yet. The other piece this outlines is just setting up the days and the times that we will bring in our transportation staff, our nutrition services staff, who are 10-month employees, prior to the start of the school year so that they can prepare and have everything ready for when students arrive.
All right, Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 2.8A, establish new job classification, job description, and range for specialized behavioral aid. May I have a motion to approve this new job classification?
Motion approved, Eugenio.
Second, Apodaca.
Dr. Zietlow.
Thank you. So we've been working on this position for a while. We have been able in the past to hire professional experts to come in and provide this type of service, but in the current job market, professional experts are getting hired at other districts, and so we are moving to open a position here so that we can establish specialized behavior aides who would be working that have some ABA training and can provide support for our students with autism. And so we need to have a job description in order to begin to fly the positions.
Okay, Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
All right, board discussion. Dr. Rios.
Thank you. So I kind of was a little confused. Is this replacing what we already had, or is this consider like a new program, new support people that would be at our school sites?
So we currently have had people in these positions, but we've had to hire them from outside. They've not been our own position. They've been outside professionals that we've used. What we're looking to do is hire people that are on our staff that we would give their salary benefits so that they will remain with us. We've had kind of a revolving door of people coming in, then they get a job in a district where they get benefits and they leave. So it's a new position for us, but we've had people doing this work. We're just unable to find them in that setting now.
Okay, because I know we had talked about how our schools are facing new challenges and how the idea of somebody that would provide behavioral support to help intervene and give kids the coping skills or social skills that they may need in addition to our counselors would be incredibly helpful so that we don't end up seeing issues at the high school and we can get them early. Is that something that's being considered?
So this position specifically would be working with our students with autism and support that way. So I think we can discuss and look at other options to see if this type of a position might be helpful in a general ed setting. We can consider that.
In addition, and I would highly encourage, again, because we're starting to see a lot of issues at our elementaries that are beyond the scope of a counselor or a teacher for sure. Thank you.
Mr. Nishii.
Yeah, so it sounds like they are going from an hourly to a more stable position and with benefits, which makes them more valued and probably better. I have a couple general questions in relation to this. What is the district proficiency test?
So it's a basic test. We have to make sure that we know you can read, do some basic math, and that we're going to have you actually helpful for a student, not only with their behavior, but maybe they need you to help them a little bit with their academics as well.
So do we have them do some training, like autism training? Because there are some certifications. Yes. I know they're usually for the graduate level, but they also have some things with the other areas too.
Correct. So they would work through our special education department. They would be trained. They would be working not only with teachers, but with some of our other specialists at the district level, and working with our psychologists as well. Anyone that students having behavior issues or who are on the autism spectrum and need specific help with learning different coping strategies, they would receive that.
Okay. So so the position says AA or pass this district proficiency test. And the AA can be in anything, could be businesses or whatever. But because this is not highly paid, it's probably unlikely to get them in that specific area anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And, yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good,
All right.
good decision.
Seeing no further comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 3.9A, public hearing and adopt resolution 22-29, textbook and instructional materials compliance and certify provision for standards aligned instructional materials. May I have a motion to approve? And we'll open a public hearing.
Motion approved, Eugenio.
Ms. Castro.
Thank you. This is our annual public hearing and resolution in order to meet the compliance requirements of Lilliam's legislation. This is to ensure that all of our classrooms, K through 8, have instructional materials that have been purchased from approved standards aligned adoption lists, and that for our students in grades 9 through 12, that we have adopted instructional materials that follow our district review process. This is in compliance with Williams, and that we have met 100% sufficiency for textbooks and instructional materials.
Dr. Yenyo, any public comment?
There are no public comments, Mr. VP.
Any board discussion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? All right, public hearing is closed. Motion passes 6-0. Board member reports. All right, looks like we have Clerk Dr. Yenyo.
Thank you, Mr. VP. Looking at the calendar and seeing we're already in the month of October, I know the remainder of the year from here on out goes by in a blink of an eye. After this month, we are quickly approaching the season of giving. We each have opportunities to give and serve others every day. From simple tasks of holding a door open for a stranger, to helping the elderly carry groceries, or taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to a lonely friend on the phone. It's the simple, small, and quiet acts of kindness that make a difference. The world is made up of billions of individuals, each with their own heart, hopes, and desires. Acts of kindness, which are simple, small, and quiet, have the most profound effect. We can make a difference in the world by making a difference in someone's life, one person at a time. Every act of kindness in turn leads to gratitude. Gratitude, like love, is self-perpetuating. It grows as we express it. We might express our thanks in prayer, in a journal entry, or in a letter. Perhaps even a better way is to share our blessings, to give someone else something to be grateful for. This is how gratitude changes the world. It starts by changing our hearts. In these next couple of weeks, as we bring the year to a close, I'd like you to consider giving and serving wholeheartedly. Regardless of how small the deed, we can experience a sense of delight when we serve others and glorify God. As Brian Tracy stated, always give without remembering and always receive without forgetting. Mr. VP.
Thank you, Dr. Yenyo. Next up, we'll have Board Member Ernie Nishii.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in the theme of gratefulness, actually, I'm grateful to the great, we talk about great teachers all the time. I think also principals have to be applauded as well. I got to visit some great principals in the last couple of weeks. Cerritos High School, I went to the back to school night. That guy has a lot of energy. Some people are happy and some people are sad, but he's got a lot of energy. Cerritos Elementary, that principal's going to eat a bug if they hit their PTA goals. Didn't say what kind of bug. Could be I don't even want to contemplate what bug that he could be eating, but I mean that's sacrifice. We have Nemas, and they're making jam, and they have paint parties under the vineyards of the nice vineyards of Nemas Elementary. It's just an amazing place. Tetzlaff, we have a brand new principal, also very efficient, very quick, does a great job of just kind of getting to the point and getting the parents' attention and the kids. I can see that they're going to do really well this year. Whitney, also a new principal from another place and growing well. I think that's a great thing. Something about that weight room, though, at Whitney. And I see a little smile from our interim superintendent. I'm not going farther. Gar, we got a great one from Irvine High School, and we're poaching from the best. So that's a great thing, and I got to meet with him and all the programs that he's talking about in terms of athletics and the great brand new field that we have there, and all the improvements, and trying to adjust to the construction and things that are going to happen. Some of them, it's very difficult with the financial climate that they have, but they've been doing really well. And all of these, in terms of, I got to go to the active shooter thing at the Syria room, and that was very enlightening with, I guess, our mayor of Cerritos, Mr. Vo. And that's where we really need to have a partnership between our city, a true partnership between our city and our school district, because we need to make all of our kids safe. And I know we've been working on that. We've been creating additional programs. We have the spreadsheet online to determine, or I know that we've done the earthquake drills, the active fire drills, and everything, other drills that we have out there. And so I'm glad that we're going to be working together with the city as a cohesive whole. That's what community does, I think. Lastly, I have a commercial. Hopefully we're allowed to do this. So I'm part of a group with the Tuna Canyon Detention Station, and it's a Mark Sturdivant Scholarship for Justice 2022. This is easy money. $500 for first place, $100 for second place. And the idea is to explain how the preservation of a historical site will prevent the violations of future human rights, right? What makes a person fight for justice and fairness? The Bill of Rights existed 80 years ago, and yet we were able to do some not very nice things to people and treat them very poorly, just because, literally speaking, they were a school teacher, and they were German, or maybe they were Italian, or maybe they happened to be Japanese. Whatever it is, from the past, we need to learn to build a better future. And so this essay is meant for the youth, the students out here, to make that difference, to write about it, to take it from their hearts, and prevent these things from happening. It's about building our future. Art touches our heart, our soul, and it makes us do things that maybe our head would say not to do. When there's a million people saying, no, you should put all these people in jail and deny them their civil rights, we should put immigrants behind terrible places, there'll be that one person who has written about this or saw a piece of art that touched him, and he's going to stand up against the crowd and fight for my liberties and your liberties and everyone's here. And so this essay contest is for that. This art contest is for that. And I encourage everyone to not just think it's about the money or the college apps, but I want everyone, as they go through the process of making this art or making this essay, know that they can make a difference and make this world better and protect the weak, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Nishii. Next, we have Board Member Sophia Sake.
Thank you, VP. Well, last 2 months I was really busy because my school rolling in, new curriculum, new textbooks. I was really busy for my school. It's like no day and night. I usually only slept 1 hour, 2 hours. So finally I caught my sleep now. And I went to 2 events. One is for Cerritos Conference meeting and banquet. Also, the last one I really want to mention about is making a difference from So Optimist. I normally support So Optimist Women's Club and Distinguished Young Women, and the 3 programs really support our district needs. I mean, the needs not just for the children, but also the family. And they have done a lot to support us. And I want to thank you to So Optimist Club. And thank you for your support, ABC Unified School District. And it was my honor to be there. And we get connected more now because they really need the school district to help them out. Because they do want to serve, but unfortunately, they not able to reach out many school districts. So part of my responsibility right now is helping them reach out more districts and help more parents and more students, more children. That was my end report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Board Member Dr. Chris Apodaca.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'd like to, I kept on seeing those 4 letters MTSS tonight, and obviously it went, in my mind, it went to our mental health professionals. So I'd like to, in addition to Thursday notes, if we could get an update on the retroactive pay for our mental health professionals. I don't know if that has been paid or if It's coming. Okay, that's all I want to know. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Apodaca. I just have a couple of quick comments here. I attended the Cerritos Artesia Rotary Club meeting. It's a great organization, and I'd like to commend our interim superintendent who gave a good presentation. Well done, sir. I'd also like to announce that I'm helping Willow Elementary get a Watchdogs program going. I'm excited about that. And calling all dads out there that are watching tonight, or moms that are watching that have husbands or grandpas, if anybody wants to start a watchdog program at any elementary school, I'll put it on the table again. I'm available. Email me. My email's on the department website. I'm happy to meet with your PTA, your school site council, your principal, whatever it takes. It's a great program that will definitely benefit your school for safety and also just community. So please think about that. Finally, I'd like to thank the superintendent also for responding to my text on the weekend. There was a helicopter circling Haskell for about 3 or 4 hours. My parents live right behind there. They were concerned. He reached out to me. We figured it out. And thank you for responding on your day off. Okay, announcements. Next regular board meeting is Tuesday, October 18, 2022 at 7 p.m. here in the district boardroom. The Diversity, Unity, and Equity, DUE Committee is meeting Thursday, October 20 at 6 p.m. here in the district boardroom. Strategic Planning Board Advisory Committee is meeting Tuesday, October 25 at 6 p.m. in the district conference room. The Legislative Policy Board Advisory Committee is meeting Wednesday, October 26 at 6:30 in the district conference room. And the Finance and Audit Board Advisory Committee is meeting Thursday, October 27, 6 p.m. at the district conference room. Dr. Yenyo, is there any additional public comments?
I don't see any public comments, Mr. VP.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Sophia.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.